Hey guys, it's me here with your weekly update. Happy New Year's, you guys. I can't believe that we are here in 2021. How was everybody's holidays? How did you guys do? What were some of your highlights? I've heard from people like, hey, like it was actually really slow and quiet, but it felt really good to be present and to connect. So I just would love to know, how were the holidays for you guys? I know for some of you guys it was probably very sad. Maybe you're grieving the loss of some people this year. So how are you guys doing? How did you experience the holidays this year? It's funny. I feel like there was this huge collective sigh when it turned to 2021 in terms of like, oh my gosh, like we're done and COVID's over. But the reality, COVID isn't over and it's still going to be here for a little while. I mean, yes, there's the vaccine and there's a lot to celebrate and all of that. But so I just want to ask you guys, as you think and process through last year and you even start to think about this year, what is what is one thing you can maybe celebrate from 2020? I know for our family, even like with our kids, we ask them like, man, like, what did you like about this past year? And everything they've said has been like, man, we've been home together. We've been around more. We spent more time together as a family. It hasn't felt rushed all the time. And I agree wholeheartedly with that assessment of the year. So I just love that. That was even my kids' experience. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, it wasn't like, oh, it's horrible, oh, this or that. I mean, yes, they missed school and their friends and stuff like that. But when we asked them about the year, like they actually remembered the good things about the year, not necessarily all of the bad things. So not only what can we celebrate in 2020, but what is something maybe you hope for in 2021? And normally I do a word for the year and I haven't gotten to it yet. But as I think about 2021, I think actually my hope is that the things we learned in 2020 that are good, like all the things we just want to celebrate, if there are things that can continue on into 2021 and even beyond, I think that's actually kind of what I hope for. So even as my family and I were talking about like our calendars for the year and stuff like that, like there's a sense of me of being like, okay, like I actually almost want to guard our calendar just a little bit better than I have in the past, because we've all really appreciated the slower schedule for us, and just trying to think through like, what does that look like in the midst of sports returning and things starting to ramp back up like that? Like, how can we guard that and our time together as a family just a little bit better moving forward? So I just want to ask you guys, what's something you can celebrate from 2021, and what is maybe something you hope for, or what's something you can celebrate from 2020, and then maybe what is something you guys hope for in 2021? You can either respond to email or you can post it in our Facebook group or something so we can all share with each other. I just would love to know. So this month with the kids online, we're going through a series. It's called Unbox. I don't know if your kids have watched the videos. If not, you should have them watch it, or if you guys can even just watch them if you don't have kids. And we're talking all about spiritual gifts, right? And how they are given to us from God, actually in a way of serving others, that they're not just given to us for our own pleasure, but they're actually given to us so that we can then serve others. And so first of all, I just want to start by saying thank you guys to all of you for the ways that you have served our kids and families, that you have used your gifts. And so I just wanted to like say, this past year with COVID, even though kids ministry has looked really different, like we have a lot of things to celebrate actually. All the boxes and things we've done to connect with families, being able to transition our ministry to being online. We still, baptisms are coming up and like kids are still choosing to get baptized. So that means that the parents are engaging with their kids and talking about it. And I just keep thinking about these kids. It's like, man, like we got to play a part of them making that decision to follow Jesus. And just like, how cool is it that we get to be the ones to help, that we get to come alongside the parents to help disciple their kids to where their kids are saying like, I want to follow Jesus. I think that's really cool. And so I just want to ask you guys, so like obviously I'm talking with the kids about what are their gifts. I just want to ask you guys, like, what gifts do you think it is that you have to bring our kids and families? Now, I don't think like, now I don't want you to sit here and say, oh, I have this gift, but that doesn't apply to kids. I actually don't think that's true. I think every gift is for kids and families, because they're for our church. So, and our kids and families are part of the church. And so I just want to ask, like, what are some of your gifts that you have that you use to serve our kids and families? And if you're like, I don't even know what those are, I don't know what that looks like, you can check out 1 Corinthians 12. It actually will list out what the different gifts are for, what some of the gifts are. So you can look through those if you really want to. And our memory verse is actually 1 Peter 4:10, and it says, hold on a second. It's so working on memorizing it myself. And it's just the second half of the verse, and it says, God's gifts of grace comes in many forms. Each of you has received a gift in order to serve others. You should use it faithfully. So I just want to encourage you guys. Actually, I just want to say thank you guys for all the faithful ways you have faithfully served using your gifts for our kids and families. And if you're sitting here hearing this and feeling like, oh man, I don't know if I have been, there's no shame or embarrassment in that, but maybe you just need to ask yourselves like, hey, as I think to 2021, how can I do that better? How can I be a little bit more faithful in the ways I use my gifts in terms of serving our kids and families? With all of that, and thinking about the baptisms and the stories and the ways we get to engage and influence our kids, I miss our kids on Sundays. So now the great thing is I've been attending church on Sundays this entire time that we've been open, and it's been great seeing the kids in the room. It was great having our kids in person last summer. And then we had to stop being in person. Now we're back, with the kids. I miss them. I look around the room on Sundays and I just see the kids. I mean, they're hanging in there. They're doing a good job. But I miss, it's kind of I just think kids, all I've heard from parents this entire time is how much their kids miss being in Kidventure. They miss their teachers. They miss their friends. And I'm just reminded of how much, what good it is that we do as a ministry, how good our ministry is. And it's because of you guys. And frankly, I'm ready to get back to that. I want our kids to enjoy coming to church. I want them to have fun. I want them to learn and to grow in a space that is designed and geared entirely towards them, to where they're not sitting there thinking okay, it's great that I'm coloring, but whatever, so I just want to ask you guys. So we're thinking about returning either January 24th or the 31st yet. Haven't quite nailed down that date yet. I will let you guys know as soon as I do. We're just trying to give, the holidays a few weeks to shake out the numbers to see if things are going to spike again or not. Kids will be going back to school soon. So we're just trying to give that some time to shake out and see how everything just kind of lands with that. And hopefully you guys, this will be our last time ever having to relaunch kids ministry. Hopefully at this point, we'll never have to close down again. I can't honestly see a need for that to happen unless, I don't know. But, which is really super exciting because, all last year is just kind of okay, well, we'll just do this for a little while. And then, but now it's okay, we get to do this again, and we get to do this well again. So for those of you guys who are still home, still just chilling because you're waiting for the vaccine and stuff like that, keep doing that. It's coming, you guys. I love seeing my newsfeed on Facebook just showing up hey, I got vaccinated. I'm yes, we're just one person closer to doing all of that. But for those of you guys who you're not waiting for a vaccine, you're kind of I don't mind being out of bed. I wear my mask. I do all the things. I don't mind being with other people in social distance, appropriate ways, because we will continue to do kids ministry that way for at least a while. I'm asking you guys to come back. So I know some of you guys back last summer when we relaunched, you said, hey, we want to wait till the new year. That's fine. I totally get it. But we're now in the new year, and I just really would love to, I really need to know how many of you guys are willing to come back and serve. And there's lots of different ways you guys can serve. So if hey, I'm ready to be back. I'm willing to be in a classroom. I'm willing to be wherever you want to put me, Lindsay. I need to know that. If you're Lindsay, I'm willing to come back in the classroom, but only in this way, I need to know that. If you're Lindsay, I'm willing to come back, but I'm not sure I'm quite ready to be in a classroom, I also need to know that, because there are many ways you can serve, whether it's captaining, helping to greet families. We actually have had some new families during this time, so it was great being able to have a greeter. Actually, I think it was me, but just to be able to greet them and to be able to help them to then, to get acclimated to our space. Or if you're hey, I'm still hanging out at home, I'm not ready to come back out yet. We can use some behind the scenes help, you guys. It takes a lot of work. I don't know if you guys realize how much work it takes to do kids ministry, all the behind the scenes, collating the papers, editing the curriculum, buying all the widgets and putting them together, all the social media, all the video stuff. There's just a lot to it. And that's for each classroom, right? Because everything is different for each age group, right? And so it's almost so it's not oh, we're just doing this once. It's I have to do this 3 or 4 times every Sunday, depending on the number of classrooms we have open. So I really could use some behind the scenes help. So if you're hey man, I've got skills in video editing, or I've got skills in front of the camera to do the online stuff so that you're free to focus on the Sunday stuff, or I have no problem sitting in front of the TV and cutting things out and collating papers and putting stuff in a box. I would love that help, you guys. It just would really bless our team really, really well if you could do that. Also, if you're willing, if you've got some time, our classrooms could use a little TLC. Even though we haven't used them for kids, other groups have been in and out of them, and they're looking. I was just in the other day, and I was oh, it's like, who's been in this room? So it would be nice to have a little bit of help just getting things organized and reset, and ready for the kids. We got some new things with some budget surplus we had last year for the kids. So it's going to be really fun to be able to lay some things out. I won't mention much, but I will say gumball machine is one thing maybe that we need to be looking forward to in the year. Oh, and maybe Nintendo Switch. But that's all I'm going to say about that for right now. But I'm looking forward to being able to have these things for the kids and for you guys to be able to use. But we could just really use some help getting their rooms and everything kind of in order. Also with all the decorating, you guys, we used to, do you remember how we used to decorate for each theme and how like fun the kids would be like, oh, this is so cool. What is this going to be about? Or why does this here? It'd be fun to kind of recreate that sense of excitement for our kids on Sundays, but that all takes help beforehand. And all that to say, for those of you guys who are willing to help, come back and help out, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you guys on a Sunday to talk to you about it in person, because hopefully if you're ready to be back with the kids, you're actually just ready to be back in church in general. And I would love to see you guys on a Sunday. Obviously I've gotten to see some of you guys on a Sunday, and that's been great, but I miss seeing a lot of you guys, because the reality is the more people we have serving and helping out, the more kids and families we'll be able to serve. So I laugh because Corey and I literally had this conversation right before we shut down back in March. And then when we relaunched through the summer, we did the online registration and we limited the number of kids that we could come based upon ratios and stuff like that. And just so you guys know, that's a done deal. That's always for everything, like in terms of ratios and the number of kids in the room. So before, if you're like, oh man, I don't know, it was really hard because, you know, there'd be 2 adults and 30 kids in the room. Like that's actually not going to happen ever again. Well, Lord willing, but like the intent is that for never to happen again. Like we really will be guarding in terms of, I mean, great things COVID gave us that excuse, but really it's bigger than COVID. Like we're going to really guard that because I want to guard your guys' energy and your ability to be effective in what you guys do on Sundays. But that means I actually just need more people to serve, because to be able to accept more kids and more families, it just means we just need more people in the room. So if you guys are willing to help out, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Real quick, I just have 3 things I want to highlight to you guys, 3 events that are coming up real quick. First is the Winter Soul Care Retreat. It's all online this year. So if you guys have done that before in the past, usually Danielle takes you through a process where you figure out a word and you do like a vision board and stuff like that for the year. It's always been really beautiful. She's created all the materials to be online. So if you guys are at home, you want to do it online, that's great. I would highly recommend you guys sign up for it. It's on our app, so you can easily just find it and she'll send you everything you need to know. But if you're like me and you're an external processor and you're like, man, I would love to get in a small group of maybe no more than 10 people, we could easily use a youth room or maybe even the sanctuary, because there's tons of room to spread out, but to still be in person. I just would love to know that as well. I know a few people have already said they might be interested. So consider this your invitation to spend some time just getting to process through last year and then thinking through forward to this year. And then starting January 31st, there's going to be 2 parenting classes. One is like a one-time thing only that we're bringing in another company, another set of speakers in to actually lead the course. And it's on connecting discipline that connects with your child's heart, which I'm really super looking forward to. That's going to be online. January 31st, an hour and a half, that's it. So even if just one of you guys, like, I know like that's usually, it's like during the bedtime thing and that's really weird. But even if one of you guys, like if you're like, oh, me and my just one person needs to attend from each family, I think that's going to be sufficient. You can still share your notes and stuff later, or just bop out to put kids to bed or whatever. But I think it would still be really beneficial. But then the next night, on Monday, starting February 1st, we're going to be starting a 10-week parenting course. And that's going to be co-led by myself and then Christian Summers, who's the lead pastor of our Lakewood Vineyard. Really looking forward to this course, being able to talk to you guys about rhythms and routines and boundaries and family values and things like that. So I really think it'll be helpful for parenting. It's a lot of, when I looked over the curriculum, it's a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh man, I found this to be very helpful and very true within my own parenting stuff. So it's nothing that it's like, oh gosh, like I would never do that. Obviously I would never present something like that to you guys, but those are all things you can sign up for on the app as well. So thank you guys for listening to this long one, but with us coming back to the new year, there was a lot to communicate and I wanted to get it out to you guys. So thank you so much for everything. And I will hopefully see you guys on Sunday. Bye.